Colin Farrell has responded to a controversial skit on Saturday Night Live that portrayed him and his Banshees of Inisherin co-star Brendan Gleeson. Airing in the US on Saturday night, the controversial sketch used what many viewers deemed offensive Irish stereotypes. It was a 3.5-minute skit, presented the pair as an unintelligible pair with an incomprehensible accent. The punchline of the joke was that they hadn't even started drinking yet. Minister Butler, presenter of the Hard Shoulder on Newstalk here in Cuddihy, and head of news at Tipp FM, Sheila Naughton, are still here. But first, let's just take a look at a short clip from that sketch.
Hello. How do you guys like your chances tonight?
You know, that's a word saying, you know, like, take work the troops for where in you be.
Hey, me Glen Pewatari, swiddle toony trees in it, CAA.
Wow, and they haven't even started drinking yet.
Right, Sheila, I'm going to come to you first. There were further sort of jokes made at the Oscars last night about the Irish. Tell us about those as well.
Yeah, so it was jokes about that there would be fighting because the Irish were there. They made specific reference to Dublin fighting as well. I mean, the donkey was brought on stage. To be honest, if I was Colin Farrell, I'd be more insulted that they thought that fella looked like me, because he's far better looking. But there's lots of things wrong with this. I don't think we need to be offended by it, because often I love offensive humour. But this is actually just unintelligent humour. So it's that they had no idea where to go and how to actually get the Irish in a niche way. So they went, right, we'll go with the stereotypes and we'll go down that route, and sure, the Americans love that, without any kind of actual thought about it.
Yeah, but just to be clear, Colin Farrell, because another question was put to him by Jimmy Kimmel, the presenter, last night, who said, you know, people want to know, what are you saying in that movie? And you could tell, because he referred to the SNL skit, that he was offended.
I think he actually came back with a more intelligent response than their humour was in the first place. But I think, and something I was thinking, I actually studied drama and theatre myself, so I love the arts and I love what we do in Ireland in terms of our arts and culture. And it makes a mockery of something that we... now, I know it's a bit Marmite at times, but a movie that has been so applauded, that has been so loved and is hugely successful. So it's making a mockery of our culture. And you have to ask, who has the right to make those jokes? I mean, we were talking about eating disorders earlier. I can joke about my eating disorder all I like, but I mean, Kieran and Mary start doing it and I might be like, oh, okay, who has the right to make that joke?
The joke.
Yeah.
Mary Butler, what did you think?
I was disgusted. It's not my type of humour at all. I have to say, when I saw it, I just thought it was disparaging. I thought it was just, you know, this was our week going to the Oscars. Like, you know, the Irish were owning the Oscars. Now, we mightn't have owned it last night. We got 2 Oscars, but maybe we expected to get more. But at the same time...
we were full of pride,
we were full of pride. And I have to say, you know, to hear, you know, and Colin Kieran being mentioned at the Oscars, I just thought, I was bursting with pride. I was bursting with pride from Carrie Crowley from Waterford. And to see that young girl in her beautiful dress, we were all full of pride. And I just thought there was no need for it, absolutely no need for it. And then I have to say, you were after really hitting a really good point when you said, like, you know, about the sobriety issue in relation to Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell was there with his 13-year-old son, and I did not get the jokes at all.
Yeah, and he definitely didn't, because he has spoken openly about his own issues with alcohol, and he has been sober for a long time now.
Absolutely.
And he found it extra offensive,
you know,
I think.
And I just thought as well, because it's St. Patrick's Week and everybody wants to put on the green Gansey this week, you know, all over the world we'll see green parades, we'll see buildings lit up green, we'll see rivers turn green.
Absolutely pissed all over Dublin city
centre.
centre.
We might come in with that point, Kieran.
Yeah, but absolutely.
We will.
No, everyone wants to be Irish this week, and I just did not like it.
OK, Kieran.
I think, you know, the criticism of it is completely legitimate. Like, it's just not funny. Like, that's the main problem with it. It's just not very funny.
And it's not original. It's
utterly
it's not
unimaginative. But I mean,
rubbish.
I think that those stereotypes are a price we have to pay, given how much we lean into some elements, those elements of Irish culture.
How do we lean in?
You talked about Joe Biden
We
coming
shouldn't
here.
have to pay that price.
Joe Biden, we're going to bring, your government are going to bring Joe Biden. They'll organise it that Joe Biden goes to the Guinness Storehouse, or he'll be in a pub. There will be a pint of Guinness. It was the same when President Obama was here. It's the same when there's any state visitor here. We even did it to the Queen. We tried to shove a pint of Guinness into her hand. Prince Philip was the only one, I think, who'd pick it up. So we do that. We talked about, like, the fighting Irish, like, as in the fighting Irish, like at Notre Dame. It's literally literally a leprechaun with his fists up. Yet we lean into it when we're there. They're coming over here, big US collegiate American football game coming up later this year. The biggest movement of US citizens outside of wartime, and we're going to talk that up. Like
but that's tourism as well.
No,
now.
I know,
and that's a lot of money.
But we
that's
lead
a lot of money.
We lead
a lot,
into it for
a lot
tourism.
Of money.
And we're going to send, and those American tourists when they come here, where are we going to send them? We're going to send them to the Guinness Storehouse in Temple Bar. We talk up as a great business success story. We talk about Irish whiskey sales, which are a great success story.
We're entitled to be proud of our heritage, but we don't have to have a skit made of it.
But you can't lean into the alcohol and then expect people not to kind of take the mick a little bit at the same time.
I just think Alan Farrell, I just think he had every right to be disgusted with that. He was
Colin Farrell thinks that. Yes.
Colin Farrell. He was over there with his son. He was representing his country. Do you know what I mean?
But do you not accept that what Kieran says is that perhaps we here in Ireland, we feed the clichés too?
Look, when you hear them putting on that Arabigara accent, there's absolutely no need for it. My idea of satire must be, or something that's funny must be different to other people's. I was just disgusted with it.
Do you think there are people who, in America particularly, who really still view Irish people as, you know, the drunken fighting Irish, the louts? Or do you think they see it as sort of this skit, this parody, but it isn't a real reflection of who we are in the country? Otherwise, they wouldn't come here in their droves.
No, I used to work in a city centre hotel in Dublin during my college years, and when the Americans came in, they used to say, "Oh my God, an Irish girl, brilliant," and they wanted me to play the Irish girl. And as you said, well, I did it for the tips.
And what do you mean by play the Irish girl?
Yeah,
what is
they
that?
wanted me to make the jokes like an Irish person would make, and be a little bit cheeky and be a bit funny. And I mean, I'm all those things anyway. But no, they wanted me to play up to it, and maybe I did. But part of me is thinking, but I have ownership of that. Like that is, you know, I'm allowed to.
But can you do both? I think that's the point.
Yeah, and so it's just to kind of, I suppose, play on what you're saying of like I'm allowed to do that. But then I also wonder, are they targeting it at their audience? Like they're SNL. I mean, unless we look it up on YouTube, we don't see it, or unless it goes viral, we don't see it. So they're going, what do the Americans want? They want this. So again, I'm thinking it's their audience that's probably the problem, because they like that comedy.
Oh, their audience has a poor sense of humour. It wasn't particularly funny. I think that's the ultimate thing. It just wasn't really funny. It wasn't funny. It wasn't even funny. I'm not offended, but it wasn't.
It was our Oscars this weekend.
We're much funnier than that. I'd just like to be clear.